So, what's your name? I mean, really. It sounds like the easiest question ever, right? But what if I told you the answer could totally change how you think about your own identity? Today, we're going to tear down a huge myth that, honestly, affects every single one of us. This idea that we all have one single legal name.
Just think about it for a sec. A form pops up on your screen right now and it asks for your legal name. What do you put down? Is it the name from your birth certificate, the one on your driver's license, or maybe the name everyone actually calls you every day?
You'd think there'd be just one easy answer to that, wouldn't you? Well, here's the crazy part. The whole idea that each of us has one single, official legal name, it's basically a myth. It's a fiction that we've all kind of bought into, but it has almost no real basis in the law. All right, so let's dig into this. We're going to start by unpacking exactly why we all have this mistaken belief in the first place.
Okay, you've totally seen this before, right? You get a form and it asks for your legal name and then your preferred name. You know the drill. It sets up this clear divide where one name is the real one and the other is just, a nice little option. But guess what? That whole division, it's built on a completely false idea. And this is where the whole thing just completely falls apart. I mean, think about it. For a ton of people, the names on their so-called official documents don't even match. Your birth certificate might have a middle name, but your driver's license doesn't, or there's different spelling. So which one is the real legal name? The definition these institutions use just ends up being totally circular and, frankly, not very helpful. And here's the real kicker. This isn't some new radical idea. Courts have been pointing this out for over 100 years. Get this, all the way back in 1910, the Iowa Supreme Court flat out said there is, and I quote, "no such thing as a legal name." Whoa! So if that's true, what does the law actually say?
Okay, let's take a quick tour through a few different areas of the law and really deconstruct this myth once and for all. So to get our heads around this, there's a really cool concept called the law of the horse. A legal scholar basically said, look, you could teach a whole class on all the laws that involve horses, in contracts, property, whatever. But at the end of the day, there's no single unifying horse principle. It's the exact same thing with names. There are lots of laws that involve names, but there is no single law of the name. So we're going to look at three main areas. First, there's common law, which is way more flexible than you'd think. Then we've got commercial law, where it's all about context. And finally, immigration law, which is kind of the exception that proves the rule, because it has this really specific need to check identities against documents from other countries. Now, this next part might actually blow your mind. In 44 U.S. states, 44, you can legally change your name just by using a new one. That's it. As long as you're doing it consistently and not trying to, commit fraud, you're good. It's called a common law name change, and it means the name you actually use, well, that is a legal name. And this story about a guy named Louis Dickerson just nails the point home. See, he was a cattle farmer and his birth name was Brooks Dickerson. But in his community doing business, everybody just knew him as Louis. So when two different banks filed claims on his cattle, one using Brooks and one using Louis, the court had to step in and decide what was his correct name. While the court's decision was super clear. For business, his legal name was Louis. Why? Because that's the name he used and the name people knew him by. Okay, so we've established that this whole one legal name thing is a myth. But this isn't just some fun piece of legal trivia. It's actually a really harmful myth, and now we're going to get into exactly why. So why is it so harmful? Because this isn't just an abstract idea. This fiction causes real, actual harm to people every single day. We're talking about transgender people, immigrants, married women, really anyone whose name doesn't fit perfectly into some neat little bureaucratic box. The philosopher Hegel had this really powerful idea. He said, to be is to be recognized. Think about that. We can't really know who we are in a vacuum. Our identity, our very sense of self, gets confirmed when other people see us the way we see ourselves. And so the opposite of that, what's called misrecognition, is just incredibly damaging. When someone sees you incorrectly or sticks you in a bogus category, it's not just that it hurts your feelings. It's a much deeper kind of harm. It can literally affect your ability to grow as a person and even mess with how you understand yourself. So to really get why this is so harmful, we've got to take a quick look at what our social identity is actually made of. Okay, so the philosopher Linda Martine Alcoff breaks our social identity down into three parts. First, there's the historical part. These are the meanings that society attaches to our identities, things shaped by big events like wars and colonization. Then there's the positional part. This is our spot in the social ladder, which comes with advantages or disadvantages. And finally, the hermeneutic part. That's basically the lens of our own unique experiences that shapes how we see the world. And here's the most important takeaway. Most of this, we don't get to choose it.
And our name? Well, our name is like the shorthand for all of that. It's the main tool we have to communicate this super complex social self to everyone else. So when a university or a hospital or any institution refuses to use our name, they're not just rejecting a word. They're rejecting our entire identity. This misnaming, it turns out, causes 3 very specific kinds of harm. First, there's dignitary harm. That's the straightforward insult to a person's identity. Then there's hermeneutical harm. That's a fancy way of saying it makes it harder for people to understand their own lives and be understood by others. And finally, and this one's huge, there's procedural harm. This is where it creates actual real-world roadblocks to getting services, like at a school or a doctor's office.
So, if the whole system is built on a myth, how do we fix it? How do we move forward? Well, the proposed solution is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. It's called the preference norm. And all it means is that individuals and institutions should let people choose which of their various legally valid names they want to use in a given context. It completely shifts the focus from this impossible search for one true name to just respecting a person's choice. I love how the research we're drawing from puts it. It says, instead of this endless hunt for a, quote, super official, we strenuously mean it name, the focus should just be on respect. It's about moving away from rigid, pointless rules and moving toward basic human dignity. When you boil it all down, it really comes to just one fundamental question. Who gets to decide who you are? Should it be a bureaucratic form, an outdated database, or should it be you? The answer feels obvious, doesn't it? But getting our institutions on board, well, that's the real challenge ahead.